Well, I am supposed to be out at Clear Springs Ranch today with the Orlando Jeep Club, but I had an issue with this last Friday. This Rubicon overheated while I was on the way home. Stuck at a red light, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't go left, couldn't go right, pinned in, and my temperature gauge just kept creeping up and up and up. By the time I noticed it, it was already touching the red. Turned off the motor, waited for the light to turn green, hoped that it would start again, turned the key, and guess what? It started, got across the intersection. I saw that needle creeping back down. As long as I was moving and I could catch every green light the rest of the way home, I wasn't too far. I'd make it because it had gone down a little more till it got about halfway. When I got home, I pulled in, opened the hood. I expected to see a fan that was not working, a belt that was broken, possibly a radiator that was leaking, a hose that was busted. I saw nothing. Well, I let it cool down, went to check the water. I had about a half-gallon load of coolant in the radiator. Probably caused a bubble to go through where the thermostat was, and that caused it to lock up, and then that probably caused overheating. I didn't really see any evidence to support what I saw on the gauge. Maybe the temperature sending unit was not functioning properly. But I'm going to change the thermostat anyway. So let's dig into that today. I went to Advance Auto and found a thermostat for the same price as I could get an entire kit. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the housing and the thermostat and the gasket because it was the same price. Now, in advance, I've never done this on this vehicle before, so we're gonna just find out what I have to do. And it looks like I have to take the hoses off to begin with. Stick this under there to catch my water. Now open the cap. Let's let drain. Step one, drain the fluid out of the radiator. And if you don't have one of these fancy fangled hose clamp pullers, you can use a pair of channel locks. That works. Hey, that's off into the abyss. So, tip number one, take it off the radiator so you can put a little spin on that. Now for the next one is a heater core. Right now my heater core is bypassed because I think the reason why I was low on fluid was because of the core. I could smell it leaking. So while driving down the road, I could catch a whiff of coolant. Keep in mind, this is a 2006. If you're working on a TJ, that's going to be the minimum. A 1/4-inch drive on a 13mm deeper well socket, and that'll allow me to get that off without having to take the belt off. Yep. The bottom bolt is shorter. Now it just pops off just like that. As you can see, this gasket, it's not in the best of shape. The thermostat gasket, pretty much gone. If it's an aluminum block, don't put a razor on it because you could gouge it. Even at that, make sure it's not scratching the block. You do want to take a rag, kind of stick it into that hole right there. Reason for that is just in case you don't want anything going in there. Well, this is something that's important. One, the spring goes into the block. Two, there's a weep hole on top, and that weep hole should be right at 12 o'clock. This new thermostat that I got does not have a weep hole. What's the weep hole for? Well, it's supposed to vent a little bit. I don't see how that teeny little hole could vent anything if it overheats, but it also helps air bubbles come out to get bubbles out of the system. But there's pluses or minuses with that. Why not just take out the thermostat? Well, back in the 70s, and when you were working on a car that was overheating, you could often take the thermostat out. But in modern vehicles, a lot of them are designed to run at a certain temperature, and if it doesn't get up to that temperature, you could effectively reduce fuel economy, or it could be equivalent to running your engine hard without warming it up first. So a thermostat is an important thing. I would recommend, before you buy a thermostat, check to make sure that there is a weep hole in it. There seems to be a very faint gray dot on here that might indicate that that's up. So in it goes. 12 o'clock for the faint gray dot. I'm going to go ahead and put my bolts in. Put my new housing on. Just going to hand thread it a little bit. Well, that's waiting to drop down in nowhere. This would probably be a tad bit easier had I taken the belt off. I'm glad that didn't fall inside the tub. Let's try again. Before I do though, let's inspect the gasket, because somehow that bolt got turned sideways down at the bottom, and I hope it didn't just rip my gasket. There goes my gasket down on the floor. There goes my bolt to who knows where. There it is. Right behind the grill. Just couldn't see it. Want a powerful flashlight? Amazon. This is great for night rides because this is one bright flashlight and it can zoom in as well. So the problem that I'm having is that the belt is pushing up on the bolt, making it go out of alignment. So if you want a little less problems, take the belt out. A bit of Teflon tape. might be easier to do before you put the housing on. But if you're not changing the housing, you're just changing the thermostat, that's fine too, because then it'll already be on. I can get 1/8 of a turn. That's about it. It goes right over the end. Look at that. Somebody got smart and said, hey, let's make this small enough that they can put a socket on it or a wrench. So I'm gonna bring it on in. Again, it's got the Teflon tape. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's not gonna leak. That tool makes it a lot easier. You can buy this tool by itself. I wouldn't buy this brand because the lock teeth came off in the very first job that I ever used it for. Put the pipe back on. Remember which way you put it. Bring the hose clamp down. Oh. Well, I'm going to turn that a little bit more because the top is not where the top is. That's going to make it real fun to get that clamp off if I have to do this again. Let's tap that around. Now, it's right in front. Make sure that this temperature sender has the clip where you can get access to it for next time. That's in. Hose is attached. That hose is attached. Both the bolts are in. The thermostat is in. Next up for me is to put some coolant into the radiator. To do that, I'm using a spill kit. Red gasket on the bottom. Put it on just like you would a radiator cap. Put the funnel in. You can take this out. You ever have a fun time opening the antifreeze? Did you know this little tab right here? You can just stick it right in and it'll break off just like that. Then you can stick your finger through it. I don't know where it went. Oh, that's much nicer. Fill it on up. So we're burping those bubbles out. You can see it's going down. Do not want air in there. Air might have got to the thermostat and caused it to do what it was doing anyway. Want all the bubbles out. Now, really, if you park your Jeep on a slight hill, so that this valve is at the highest point of the whole system, that'll get a lot of the air out. Once the thermostat opens, it'll probably suck some down. Still got air bubbles. I want all the air out of there. So we're gonna let that continue. I do have another gallon just in case. And once you got all the air out, want to check for leaks, run it, make sure it heats up all the way, make sure the thermostat is closed and opening properly, and then you should be good to go. You've now successfully changed your thermostat and thermostat housing on your 4.0 TJ. Slight variation probably between years. This is the 2006 Rubicon. Here's a couple hints, tips. Put the rag over the hole. If you only have one set of keys and you got a hard top and full doors, always roll your window down while you're working on it so that you don't shut the door and lock your keys in there. If you do lock your keys in there, you can take the screws out and remove the doors. But if you've never removed the doors, that can be a bit of a fun job. But you also would have to have tools from my buddy's Jeep who's got tools to take the door off. So just an easy tip. open the window. Put your rag over this hole because you're going to be dropping bolts, screwdrivers, ratchets, anything down in there. That'll keep it from falling down so far because it usually just goes down into there. So it's been running a little bit. Leaving it just to see whereabouts it's running. It's just a little under half. That's about normal, where it should. It's sitting like I was at a traffic light. I still see air bubbles coming out of there. So I'm gonna burp it a little bit. You burp it by squeezing this, and while you're squeezing it, you should see bubbles coming out. As long as you're seeing bubbles, it is not burped. So burping it helps to keep air out of the system. Used to always just squeeze it. This funnel makes it a whole lot easier. So once you're done, you take your little T-tool, you put it in your radiator, you take the funnel out, get your container, put it in there, pull out the T-valve, no mess. There's a link below for the funnel I used, and there's also a link for the hose clamp pliers. A couple links that you can get. She's running. She's not overheating. I used a 13mm ratcheting wrench, 13mm 1/4" drive, and a 19" to take the temperature sending unit out. I used a special wrench to get the hose clamps off, and a special screwdriver that fits up underneath there to free it up, make it a little easier to take off. That's it. This job could take you anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour. There's only 2 bolts and 2 hose clamps to get this job done, so it should be pretty easy. Let the engine cool down first, otherwise you're going to be in for a big surprise. Thanks again for watching. Hey, don't forget to dispose of your antifreeze correctly. These are the tools that I used. We'll see you on the next trail ride.